Hello, everybody. Oh, no, no. Hello, foodies. It's so awesome. Hi, foodies. I have misplaced my. What's the thing that's round and has a light? Ring light. I misplaced my ring light, so I unfortunately have to do a selfie video. I promised video would be uploaded today about my postpartum depression journey, and I like to keep my word, come rain or sunshine. So here we are. Hold your bottle. How can you sleep if you don't hold your bottle yourself? Look at that. Right. So, as you're all aware, I can't say newborn anymore, an infant. He is currently 7 months old, and I basically started getting symptoms of postpartum depression after 6 weeks of having been home. Those first 6 weeks being at home were almost blissful, despite the C-section, despite the pain. And my son was a sweet baby who would put himself to sleep. If you had him in his swaddling and you put a pacifier in his mouth, Milo, yeah, and you put a pacifier in his mouth, he would kindly fall asleep with no hassles, and he slept for hours on end. He was just such a lovely baby to be around. And then, so doing all my other motherly duties, wifely duties, was quite simple to do at the time. Then, and I'm supposed to look at the camera, but it's so weird. Anyway, it's beside the point. At the time, I didn't have a helper, so it was just me and my husband, our two older kids, and Milo. While I was recovering, my husband took the brunt of all responsibilities, cleaning, cooking, etc. So when I started healing and I could help around the house, then things started to change. Milo became a fussy baby. He wouldn't want to be put down to sleep. After a specific time of day, like after 6 p.m., he wouldn't want to be in anyone else's arms but mine, which put me under strain because he wanted me to rock him back and forth. And with the C-section still healing, it wasn't a great time for me. He would cry, and he was just so frustrating. And at first I thought, you know what, these are baby blues. I've been here before. Once we settle into a routine between the cleaning, the cooking, helping my husband out, helping the older kids, etc., etc. Once we found a routine and settled down, everything will get better. And it just didn't. The baby blues escalated. It got so unbearable because the only time I could rest was in the morning between 6 a.m. and 6 p.m. And mind you, that's also one of the busiest times of the day because once my husband went back to work, that meant I had to be hands-on with the baby during those hours. And after he'd knock off, that would be the time that he would have loved to help me out. But after 6 p.m., this child just plain flat refused his dad, more especially. Didn't want to be around his dad, which made me feel more than anything overwhelmed. And me feeling overwhelmed, I thought, you know what, it's because I don't have a helper yet, and once my helper comes through, things will get better. But the overwhelming feeling did not go away. Having to keep the house, you get what I'm trying to say, and he was just so impossible to please. Kind of sort of like he is now, but I'm used to this now. Then I started getting angry. Not at anybody else. I preferred my two older kids over the newborn, and the bonding that we had created between the two of us, and the breastfeeding and the pumping in the early weeks just disappeared. I found him annoying. I found him to be an extreme burden, and every chance I got to dump him on someone else, I did it. I'd take him breastfeed, and immediately after breastfeeding I'd just get rid of him. And at night when he was at his worst, and when I say at his worst, I mean at his worst for me, I started being so angry that I would imagine myself hitting him or punching him or throwing him against the wall. There were really violent thoughts that I spent the longest time thinking, no, these are just baby blues. I'm just tired. I'm just really tired. I'm sore. My boobs are sore. I'm pumping. All those things. I'm pumping. There's 2 older kids that also need my attention. I'm a wife. Um, and sometimes work would call me to help out here and there, and it just felt like I needed a break. You know what I mean? And then I actually did take a break. If you remember, I posted a vlog on my YouTube channel about me and my husband having taken the weekend away from the kids. And that didn't help. Yes, it was relaxing, refreshing. It took a load off of my shoulders for that time. But at the time, I was still breastfeeding. So in the interim of having fun, I had to be mindful of the fact that I can't drink too much because I had to pump and take the milk back to the child. In that mental frame, I felt like such a terrible mom, because some of the milk I had to pump and dump because I had consumed a lot of alcohol, and it made me feel even worse, and it made me dislike him even more, because the one time I get away from you, you are still bothersome. You know what I mean? He was genuine. He genuinely felt like a burden. And I came back home and cried, not because I was tired, not because I was sad, but because I had to come back home to the baby. Must I put you in my arms and put you to sleep? No, I'm not gonna pick you up. Anyway, I'm busy with a lighter version of sleep training, but I'll explain that another day. And that very same night, by this time I had returned to work. It was my first week after work, and I had so much fun at work because majority of the time I spent away from him. What's going on? What's the problem? You can't settle down. Must I give you a bottle? Hold on. Where's your bottle? There it is. Wait, puppy. Here you go. Yeah, and I had the time of my life at work. Majority of the time when I'm at work, I do video call my kids. I check on them. I love my kids. I love spending time with my kids. I love checking in on them. I want to know every single detail about them. But him, my husband would try and say, do you want to speak to Milo on the phone? I'd be like, no, I'm fine. And then hang up and then move on with my life. And then when knocking off time came, I'd fall into a kind of depressive state. I didn't want to go home because I knew Milo was there. And then the one night, he just wouldn't settle down. Even while he was really bothersome after 6 p.m., falling asleep was always quite easy for him. And that night, he just, no matter how much I rocked him, no matter how much I got up, no matter what I did, he just wouldn't settle down into a sleep. That I remember standing up with him in my arms, and I thought to myself, just drop him onto the tiles. And it took everything in me. I don't know. I'm not sure how long I stood there. I'm not sure how long I prayed for to get the strength to not drop him flat on the tiles. And at this time, he was 3 months old, so quite small still. I didn't even want to do any doctor's visits, ped visits with him. At the time, my nanny had started. Stop playing, man. Hold your bottle. And at the time, my nanny had started, so whenever he needed his ped visits or immunizations, I'd just send her. I wouldn't, and I'd tell her to keep me updated. I just didn't want to go myself, which is also not something that I'd normally do. And after that night, after I'd eventually put him down to sleep, I realized that, something's not right. These are not baby blues. I don't like my child. He makes me angry. He makes me annoyed. All I want to do is be away from him. And I went on to a Facebook mommy group, told them what I was thinking, what I was feeling. They said, you've got PPD symptoms, take yourself to the doctor before things escalate. I went to the doctor. Now, if you remember, on my page, I was adamant about breastfeeding for as long as I could. Even as draining as he was, I was adamant about breastfeeding. Went to the doctor, told him my symptoms, and while I was explaining to him what I was going through, I just cried, because I was like, I felt so guilty. Why would I be so angry at a baby? Why would I want to harm a defenseless baby? Someone I'm supposed to protect, someone I'm supposed to nurture, someone I'm supposed to love. And he got terrified and he said, I'm sorry to do this to you, but you have to stop breastfeeding, because breastfeeding makes it worse. Breastfeeding offsets your hormones. So while your body is trying to recover, at the same time, your body is still releasing the hormones you had during pregnancy because of the breastfeeding. Milo, that is enough now. Yo, hold the bottle. That's your problem. Yeah. And I told him I don't want to. Let's find antidepressants that I could take that didn't require me to, stop breastfeeding. And he said, unfortunately, with the way you are, with what you have described or what's in your head, your PPD has escalated too far. And he was fearsome that it would turn into postpartum psychosis, which is when I would start thinking my son was a threat and I would actually physically harm him. And I reluctantly took the antidepressants, and within 3 weeks, my husband was the one who said, you don't get so frustrated with him anymore. You're doing better. There were really bad days in between the antidepressants where I just cry and cry and cry, or sit in the shower crying, trying to get away from him. But as time went, I had to stay consistent with taking antidepressants. I had to. No excuses. I had to go to therapy. I still go to therapy. I've only been on antidepressants for just over 3 months. My prescription is for 6 months, so I have to finish the 6-month course before we can think about starting to wean me off. Guys, it was such a dark time. My son and I are much better now. I'm so in love with my son. I love him. I video call him a couple of times a day. I shower him with kisses. I shower him with love. I'm back to the mother I know myself to be. I still have those very bad days. I still do. Where I just don't want anything. And I will explain to my husband. He's been so supportive. He has not judged me. He has not questioned my feelings. He has not questioned who I am, questioned the mother I am, questioned the person I am. He has taken his cues from me. When I need help, he's always been there to offer it. He's always been there to comfort. So it has been very nice to have a partner who, when I told him what I was going through, what I was thinking, I expected his first question to be, what the hell is wrong with you? And he, excuse me, first thing he said to me was, how do I help? And are we still doing this? You've got the teeth of the bottle in your hand. Oh God. But I gradually, the doctor had said that it takes a good 4 to 6 weeks for the pills to fully kick in. And when they did, I was in a constant, should I say neutral? Or joyous. I would get angry, not at him, but I still felt my usual emotions. If someone upset me, I would still be the same, express my anger, express my hurt, express my pain. I'd be able to bounce back quick. I think that's one thing that's a plus. Bouncing back from a dip in emotions is so much easier. And I got so much better. The antidepressants did affect my libido. Like I didn't want to be touched at all. did not want to be touched at all, and that became a problem. So I went back to the doctor and said, much as these pills work, this is the current problem, and he decided that he'd start weaning me off. I had to do 1 week where I took 2 days, skip 1 day, 2 days, skip 1 day. Second week, I'd take 1, skip 1 day, take 1, skip 1 day. Third week was when I'd have to skip 2 days and take 1 day. By the third week, I could feel that something's not wrong. It felt like I started from scratch. It honestly felt like I started from scratch. I relapsed badly. And after the third day of just losing my shit, I called the doctor and said, listen, this is not working. I'm putting myself back. If you want to change my prescription to something else, that's fine, but I'm still not okay. And he said, you know what? I'll take 2 days, take 1 off, take 2 days, take 1 off, because at that, taking them in that sequence wasn't so bad on my emotions. And that's what I'm currently doing. I wanted to tell you guys about my postpartum depression journey because this being my third child is the last thing I ever expected to experience. Given the fact that this pregnancy was much easier than the previous one, I thought that I'd have postpartum depression with Blue's pregnancy because I was so miserable. I hated the pregnancy, everything in me, that I thought it would affect how I was with Blue, and that didn't happen. It was a shock. It felt like it came out of nowhere. I thought I would be prepared for anything because, it's my third child. I kind of know what I'm doing now. And I felt all the guilt in the world. I felt all the inadequacy, the jealousy of married couples that don't even have children. For the first time in my life, I thought to myself, why did I have children? That's how bad it got. But some moms are going through this. Some, unfortunately, are first-time moms that go through this and they keep being told it's baby blues, and some even worse get told you're not a good mother, something must be wrong with you, that you don't like your child, things like that. And I just want to say, as a mom or as a parent of any sort, you will know when something is wrong or when something's not right between the bond between you and your child. Trust your gut and get help. Even if it's asking someone to come and help you clean, or someone to come and look after your baby while you sleep, because no matter what you do, you just can't. The smallest things, even asking people to make meals for you. It's okay to ask for help. Had I not asked for help, I'd have been in a very different situation right now. I could have lost all my kids because I would have quite possibly harmed my infant child. We need to talk about these things. We need to share about these things and share our journeys and share what helped for you. Going to my doctor, going to therapy is a humongous help. I get my therapy from my prescribed minimum benefits on medical aid, meaning it doesn't go off of my day-to-day benefits, it doesn't go off of my savings. It goes off medical aid, as if I've been admitted into hospital. So if any one of you moms are going through the same thing, if you want to know how you get a PMB, to cover your medication, because now this has been listed as a chronic illness for me, so they do it all off of medical aid as opposed to medical savings. So if you need help, if you have questions, please let me know. But what this journey has taught me, apart from being able to ask for help, apart from realizing that you can actually hit rock bottom when you feel like you're the strongest person in the world, or you're at your strongest at that point in time, is how much of a great person I am. And because of the great person I am, I'm therefore a great mother, even with my struggles. And I will never doubt myself again. Even going through postpartum depression, I know for a fact And no matter what Satan throws my way, I'm gonna have my kids back. And I'm gonna do what is necessary to be the warmest mother I've always been. And I'm so proud of myself. But I thought I could share this journey with you guys because, man, I saw tickets 3 months ago, 4 months ago. Ooh. But yeah, some mommies responded to me when I asked about sharing my postpartum journey, and you ladies were amazing. And thank you for sharing your stories with me. Postpartum depression presents itself in different ways to other people. Majority of the time, it comes forth as not wanting to bond with your child, much similar to mine, always angry with the child, not wanting anything to do with the child. But some moms can be overwhelmed by the outside world. They want to lock themselves up in a bubble with just them and their baby. That's also how it could present itself. You, as I said, you know yourself best. You know when something's wrong. Your gut is never wrong. But yeah, that is my postpartum depression story for now. I'll try to do an update in a couple of months, see how it goes, and if I'm able to get off of antidepressants. Hopefully therapy would help me get to that point. But excuse me, as you can hear, this one has not wanted to fall asleep on his own this entire 20 minutes, so I'll have to physically take him and put him to sleep. Oh no, he's asleep, he's passive. I just fell out of his mouth. Anyway, thank you once again, guys. Thank you, foodies. And until next time.